What's up, 83 crew? Pilot 83 here, bringing y'all that in-depth preview and review on the Velocity 1 flight stick and rudder pedals. We will also be going over the pros and the cons, and also some of my input settings that I personally use. Video might be a little bit long, but I will have some time stamps right here below that you can look at if you want to skip ahead to a certain part. But let's go ahead and get to the stick. Alright, so Velocity 1 flight stick here. Amazing stick. 8 high precision axis. Has contactless sensors on the main stick to make this thing as accurate as possible. Multi-function throttle and flap levers on both sides. It can be used on Xbox or PC. Alright, it has 27 programmable buttons. Flight management display up here, which we'll go over. It has a flight configuration wheel, which is down here, which is what will control your settings, and we'll get to all that as well. It has a touchpad navigation sensor, which is right here, which will control your cursor just by rubbing it. It has a ambidextrous design for left and right-handed people. I am left-handed, so I prefer for it to be on the left, but over the years, being stuck with a lot of mainly just right-handed joysticks, I've got used to doing it on both, so either way it feels natural to me now. Palm rest here can be fully adjusted, which is really good, really neat, because I definitely suffer from wrist pain. You do not have that. Alright, it has the Turtlebeach audio advantage right here when you connect it in. It has Xbox navigation controls, Bluetooth, companion app, which is the Turtlebeach flight stick app. It's also on your Xbox, which you can use to control the stuff that's in the flight display, like sensitivity, RGB lighting, left or right-handed mode, and a few other things. Oh, and also update it. Alright, so let's get into the stick. And let's start with the flight management display. Alright, so let's go over the flight management display. So the flight management display is controlled either through the app or through this little dial wheel that we have down here, which spins left and right. So we can use that. Let me try to get this back in focus for y'all. I know it's going to be a little bit hard to focus on the screen how these displays are. On here you have an Xbox symbol, access symbol, trim symbol, and the chronometer, and it will let you know the version right up here, which the latest version for this flight stick, if y'all do not know, is version 1.1.6. We'll have a picture of the rudder pedals once they're connected. They'll have a picture of the Bluetooth symbol if it's got Bluetooth turned on, and a picture if you have it on right or left hand set up. So we can go through here by spinning this wheel, and you can go to input mode, for example. So you can click on the right, then you can go to PC, spin, Xbox. Then you got stick performance, where you can test it, calibrate it, your audio, your trim wheel if you want to make it analog or digital, rudder lock, which you want to turn on if you have rudder pedals connected. It stops this from turning your rudder. Pro aim, which is a feature I've not messed with. Orientation, where you can set it from right or left-handed. Touchpad sensitivity, which is for the cursor there, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. Lighting, where you can change the LED brightness, screen brightness, and the colors of your Velocity 1 flight stick. Alright, there's 6 different color schemes you can choose from, which we'll check those out real quick. So we have this blue and green, this pink and orange, this is pretty much all yellow, all blue, and this is like a very light purple, or you can turn them off completely. And then you got the first one, which is like a blue and orange versus the blue and green. Alright, so right is what you use to initiate what you want, then the left click is what backs you all the way out to the front. So now let's get back to the buttons. So like I said, there's 27 buttons. You have these two levers here. There's a detent on the bottom of each one and a detent at the top of each one, which is a action that could be assigned. We have the 4 buttons here, the 4 buttons here. We got the 2 hat switches, analog. We have the cursor right here, which is also a clicker. You got the trigger in the front, obviously. We got button on the left and right here, B16, B17. We have the trim wheel, which also has a button when you click it in. And then your default buttons down here, like the home, start, or pause, and all that stuff that you'd find on your controller. Stick feels great. It's a little tight when you first get it, I will say. It took me a little breaking into. I'm like, the stick is really tight. It does have a good weight to it, but still, with the weight of the stick, I still would recommend mounting it to something like what I did here with this. Well, this is just a joystick mount in general, and I will talk about this in a minute, and I will have a link for this exact one in the description below. All right, something I highly recommend. This goes up and down. This can clip on any table. Basically can fit almost any joystick. It can be pulled in and out, so you can pull it closer. You can raise the height, lower the height, like I said. It does a lot. So let's talk about the pros and the cons of the stick. The stick itself, I think, is amazing. When you're not having issues with it, it works great. It definitely needs a couple updates. The stick is very accurate. It's very responsive. It does what it's supposed to do. The levers work really well. I really love the detents that you have on the bottom and the top. There's really just 2 big things about the fly stick that just really, really bug me. Number 1, well, actually 3 things, but one of them is not a big deal because it's not something most of us use anyway. First thing being this trim wheel here. I love that there's a trim wheel, but I hate the location of it. Yes, it looks right being right there, but if you have normal size thumbs like I do, as you spin this thing, I mean, just a little bit touch, you're going to push one of these buttons on either side. And whatever that button is assigned to, it's going to do that action. So you have to make sure wherever you assign to the left and right button here, the B16 and B17 are not important, because as you're moving this thing up and down fast, or if you're trying to do some quick adjustments, you're going to click this. It's so easy to click one of these on the other sides. Also, the cursor touch thing here is useless. It is not accurate. It moves very slow. Not good. The trim wheel indicator up here does not reflect the actual trim in the sim. This can say that trim is all the way down, even though your trim is all the way up according to your plane. So you cannot rely on that trim. I wish that this was like down here, out the way. What else? Unlike the Velocity 1 yoke, this stick has a big problem with interfering with anything else connected, including your Xbox controller, keyboard, mouse. The Xbox fights to tell which one is in control instead of just letting them be. There's a lot of fighting between the two, where you constantly have to unplug one, turn one off. Basically, you don't want anything assigned to this that is assigned to something else you have connected, like your controller or your keyboard. So like the cursor, that had to go, which wasn't a big deal to me. But because when that was on, it was a nightmare using your mouse or using your controller. Simple things like flaps, anything, that has another binding to something else, just interference. Sometimes it would work fine, sometimes it wouldn't. Sometimes things just wouldn't work at all. And so I literally had to go and take everything that I manually built up in this stick and remove it from the controller. Basically everything besides drone mode and free look. Other than that, everything is removed, even on the keyboard, because like I said, if it detects, or if you use that, say like the keyboard, and it detects the keyboard's being used and you have the same thing assigned on the keyboard, you're going to have issues. Just an update that needs to be fixed. Not a big deal. Can work around it. The stick itself is great. Like I said, the potential is all there. And also the big thing, if y'all didn't know, we can now connect the rudder pedals to the Velocity 1 flight stick without having to use the yoke. Done from a USB-C to C cable. It's got to be 3.1 or higher. Gen 2. You can get one from Turtlebeach if you message them, complimentary, free, or you can buy one like I did. But here's the thing, these holes are very tiny in the front. There's those 3 holes up front. They are very tiny. I went through 3 different C cables till I found the right one that fit perfect, and I will also have that cord linked in the description below. It is cheap and it works great, and direct connection straight from the stick to the pedals. It has to be, like I said, on the update 1.1.6. We have the third one, which obviously it's already been hinted, which will be for some type of throttle quadrant in the future, which will make this even better. So besides the trim wheel and these buttons being so sensitive beside it, and I said the cursor thing here, that's not a big deal to me. I just turn that into my autopilot button and I just click it. I don't even worry about the touch sensitive part of it. It's not a big deal. I don't think no one's going to use that. People much rather use their mouse. But yeah, just the trim wheel location is my only con, and the binding issues where it interferes with other, it fights with other devices, controller, keyboard, mouse. So you have those 2 things. But other than that, the stick is great, and I'm sure these are things that the updates coming in will fix, and it won't be such a big issue. Now let's go down to the pedals. Let's talk about the pedals real fast, and after we talk about the pedals, we'll get into my personal inputs and how I have this stick currently set up. And I'll even show you how I have a cool little thing I do that I saw another YouTuber do. So I got to give this guy much credit, which is good for prop planes. All right, give me just a moment. All right, guys, so here we are with the Turtlebeach Velocity 1 rudder pedals. There's a Xbox mode and a PC mode for these as well. Like I said, I got this directly connected from USB-C to C from this to the stick. Now, I was a little sticker shocked when I got these, seeing that they were $300, but when they came in, I quickly realized they were worth every penny by how big they are, how freaking heavy they are. It comes with rubber grip pads on the bottom that you can attach for carpets. You also got ones that you can use for tiles. It's got interchangeable springs, so if you want more tension or less tension, you got that option. You also have the option to change how these rudder pedals are for your feet. So it's got the same exact tool that the Velocity 1 yoke comes with, and you can come in here, show you here. Slide this out. And then you got these right here. You can put this in, then take it, pull this up. Now you have this style of rudder pedal, which could be more your style. This is more for like general aviation aircraft, light aircraft. This is not something you would see in like a fighter jet, but it's a different style. I like it both ways. Preferably though, I like this way. I think a little bit better, just because I'm usually in my socks or barefoot when I'm doing this, and if you don't have shoes on, it's a little slippery when you're pushing up against this. Your foot slides back. But let's go ahead and put that back how it was. Super easy to change. Locks right in there. Put your bolt back in there. You also use this tool to change the springs, which are in the front of this. Super easy to do. These are also adjustable in and out. I like mine to be set on 2. But you can spread these pretty far out. There is a lever under both sides. You just push in and pull in and out. Super neat little feature there. You got braking here, differential braking. Also determining on how much pressure or force you apply here determines how hard it will actually push the brake in the sim. They freaking feel absolutely great when you use them. So much better than the freaking Thrustmaster pedals. You know, you get so used to those and you come to these and it's just like night and day difference. But okay, let's get back to the stick. Couple other things I want to discuss. Alright, so a couple other things. So the pedals do come with the cables needed to connect to your Velocity 1 yoke or to your PC. Like I said though, it does not come with a cable to connect to the flight stick because I guess they weren't anticipating at the time for a connection direct to this or something. I don't know. I think a little bit of a failure on their part for not including that cable, but at least they are offering it for free now. So big plus to that. Now, I do wish that we had the label options like we have on the yoke for the buttons here. Now these buttons are black on top, but I believe, you know, they could have done these white and had that same setup, because you definitely got to do some remembering, which is not hard to do. You get used to it in a couple days of how you have it set up. But I think it's also, you know, kind of a look thing. I think it looks really neat when you actually have things labeled on your buttons of what does what. But no, you don't have that with this. Like I said, these are black. These are labeled by numbers and then the letters of the Xbox controller. So not a big deal, but something else to keep in mind. You know, I said, don't let that deter you away from the stick. It's definitely the best flight stick on the market for Xbox, and it is a hell of a stick out there on the market for Xbox and PC combined. So great stick, love it. Besides, like I said, the couple cons I said, but I think only one you'll be left with will be the little Tremel issue. But as long as you have your button set up in a good way, then it's not really a big issue. And I will show you my setup right now and just some things that I do. Okay. Alright, so let's go over some of my inputs. Alright. So you'll see there, that's one of the issues we have with the flight stick. So when you push this here, you come back out. You see that there? How things are automatically doing that. It will also sometimes spin you out of control. See how things are weird right there? You got to move your stick to reset everything. Yeah, that happens. But okay. We'll go ahead and restart the plane. I got the light on here so we have a little better view of just how I have my inputs. Alright, so my setup is actually pretty simple. And we'll go over it real quick right here and then I'll show you in the thing. So I have my nav lights, strobe lights, landing lights, beacon lights all on this side. Over here I got B5 and B6 as flaps increase and decrease. Got B7 to lower landing gear, and then I got B8 as parking brake. Alright. This side here I got air brake. Pull this down. Get air brake. This here is my throttle that you see here. I put it all the way down in the detent at the bottom. I got it set up for reverse thrust. If I go to the top detent here, it's either full throttle or it will go into afterburner. Alright. Then right here, which is supposed to be the touch sensitive cursor, I turn this into autopilot. This is what I push, turn on my autopilot. Then B16 is what I use to turn on my navigation. Alright, I got B17 to go in and out. Alright, these are your quick looks on H1 hatch. If I push H2 in, that's my reset. So wherever I'm at in the cockpit, it'll reset. Alright, so I have a couple different setups with this. So this here is one of my prop setups. So normally I have this as just free look around the plane, so I can just look around like this by just using this. Move this around and I can look around the plane like this. Well, I also have this profile where I have that switched up, where I actually have it where I can do this. Watch my mixture and prop. See, I can lower my prop. Lower the mixture. And increase the mixture. You can do it in increments, or you can hold it and it'll go all the way up. And that's really good for prop planes. Alright. Now, I have tried to do some other things that do work, but they're having interference. Like, I did have it set up where when I push both of these, it would be toggle heading. Then the next two would be toggle altitude hold, and so forth, so on. Then toggle auto throttle. But even when they're assigned like that, it still toggles one of whatever it is assigned to that key by itself. So like how this is assigned to landing gear, even though I have this set up as I got to push two buttons to toggle auto throttle. Auto throttle will come on, but it'll still toggle landing gear to go down. On the yoke, I did not have that issue when I double assigned buttons, so I'm not sure why I'm getting that on this. Like I said though, hopefully that's an update that will fix that. So let's take a look at the controls. So like I said, I built all this from scratch. That's the easiest way to do it, because when you get this in for the first time and you get on, you'll realize that these controls are completely freaking bonkers on how they have it set up. I don't know who would use it that way. There is a helicopter default mode on this as well. I built mine from scratch as well. It's just it's no good. But so like you'll see like my autopilot, how I have it set up here. So just push that in. That's my autopilot. Then to turn on my nav, right here, B16. And I like how it actually says 16 on there like that, the way like it's supposed to. Landing gear button 3, but technically it's button 7. It's 3 on the right side. Now the where is it at? So brakes are assigned to the rudder pedals, and that's what these buttons are. These are actually from the rudder pedals. That's your toggle parking brake right there. Miscellaneous. You'll see my lights. Landing lights, nav lights, strobe lights, taxi lights. That's all assigned on these 4 right here. These are the flaps, like I said. To increase flaps, decrease flaps, you want to have these 2 options. And I want to show y'all how I did the prop and the mixture. Maybe they have it in miscellaneous. Engine instruments. No, they got toggle afterburner. You'll see my spoiler access right here. And of course, this is your trim. Like I said, you want to keep in mind you don't want to have anything important on these 2 buttons beside the trim, because you are going to press those. But if we go to sensitivity, now I need to redo this one's throttle here. If you go to this and see what these two are, the left and the right and the up and down, you'll want to increase your dead space to 15%. Alright, then once you do that, come in here and just type either prop or mixture. Then you're going to do increase propeller pitch small and decrease propeller pitch small. Now down is 7 negative, up is 7 plus. The one that was a little confusing for me was the mixture. So if we go to mixture, oh, not all that. See, that's things being taken over. Oh, still doing it, but by the stick. So mixture, increase mixture small, and that's when I go left. I'm sorry, when I go right on the H2 switch, and that will be 6, axis 6 plus. Now decrease mixture slow. That's what it'll be when I go left on the H2 hatch switch, and that'll be axis 6 minus. And that's how I'm able to control that right there. And then I have, see, now you see that right there, how that happens, how the cursor just went to the corner of the window. That's because you have cursor still assigned to your stick. You need to unassign cursor, and you will not get that issue. So the only way to fix it at this moment is you got to go like this. Well, I'm sorry, you got to move the stick like that. So any of these that have cursor assigned will do that. It will automatically every time pull this over here if you have cursor assigned right here. On the console, that is. I don't know about PC, but on the console it will do that. Alright, so like I said, that's simple. And then from there, you can go ahead and take this bad Mamma Jamma off. One of my favorite planes. You all probably already know. Flats. Alright, then gear up. Just about pushing that right there. Flaps up. We need to adjust our trim because we've been messing around here a little bit. Things are a little bit off. There we go. Now push right here. You'll see autopilot came on. Push this, nav's on. Now the plane's going to its flight path. I can look around like this. We're back in the other mode, so this is moving around. I did have it where I could hold the trigger and I could use this at the same time to move around the cockpit, like back and forth, left to right and stuff, but it would keep getting stuck for some reason. So like I said, maybe with an update that will be fixed. Don't know. I'll push the H2 button in and it resets that. But yeah guys, so that's my inputs, that's my overall thoughts. It is a amazing flight stick. It has its quirks, but there's not one thing we've had come out yet that's not had its quirks. For the price point, it was $129. Right now it is currently $109. Definitely a must have. Definitely get you one of these right here. Like I said, I'll have this tagged in the description below. It fits this joker perfectly. It keeps it so tight right between the legs. You can move it over wherever you want to do, and it keeps it super secure. Like I said, it's fully adjustable. I'll have all that in the description below, guys. All Amazon products. As always, guys, thank y'all so much for y'all's love and support. I am Pilot83. The Discord will be out in the next couple of days. It is set up and ready to go. I'm just checking on a couple things. Till my next video, y'all, happy flying out there. Remember, united we fly. If you made it this far, thank you so much. If you like this video and you feel like I earned your subscription, please hit that subscribe button and that like button so you don't miss out. Until next time, guys, see you in the air.